Welcome to this edition of Get to Know Your Wayne State football program. I'm Sports Information Director Jeff Weiss, and joined today by new defensive line coach Frank Espy. Frank, thanks for taking the time to speak with us about your group.
No problem.
Well, looking at the 2 deep for the upcoming year, at least for the start of camp, there's a lot of guys that have experience for the Warriors. You look at the defensive ends, you got Arnold Sadoff, Jacob Mass, Sean Banaszak. That's a pretty good trio to start with.
Absolutely. Really, it is a pretty loaded front as far as some veteran presence. Those guys did get a lot of snaps and everything from last year. So, of course, that experience is carried over. Just from the familiar of the conference, remember how we do things here at Wayne State, it really goes a long way being able to get off to an early start. And here comes camp.
Sounds great. You look inside now, you've got Damon Duncan, Charles Ellington, Kane Quinlan. So you've got a trio of guys there inside. Thinking about 6 guys that have played that much of college had to make your adjustment to Wayne State much easier.
You're right about that. No matter where you coach at, you want to have some beef on the inside. I feel like we're pretty deep right there as far as even being able to have some strength and some rotation. Charles should be a phenomenal player for us. We're talking about big, fast, and athletic, strong. Has all the tools. It's really just about him just being consistent. And he's not the only guy in the group that can be able to play some ball. So looking forward for that group to really be able to shine and hold up right in the inside.
Some of the other guys on the outside adding some depth, and obviously a little competition never hurts either.
Absolutely.
You've got Kofi Kimbrell, Amari Hampton, Aaron Mass, Jacob Alderman. They've all been in the program for a couple of years now. So you've got a lot of guys to work with.
Right, and I think the biggest thing in what we developed in the spring is some depth and some guys that can be able to play. Even as it's kind of just being in some moments and some rotational things, almost kind of think of it from a basketball standpoint, right? You may not be a starter, but when you come in the game, hey, you got to grab some rebounds, right? You got to set some screens. So kind of the same thing in our philosophy as far as the defensive line. They all got different components and different things that they excel at, and then when they go in the game, we're looking to be able to execute those things.
Some of the guys on the defensive line pushing to maybe make the travel list since the first game's on the road this year. You've got Jarrett Short, Gus Taylor, McKinley Underwood, hopefully is finally healthy. Vince Carpenter redshirted last year. So you've got some more guys to push the veterans.
For sure. It's always a competition to be able to be those last couple of guys that's on the bus. And we'll put it out there in camp. Hey, here's where you stand. It's on you to be able to make a difference and make a change. But yes, all those guys do have some ability. There's only so many numbers that you can be able to travel with. Right. It's almost like our little version of the NFL. You got to try to be able to get on that bus, right? So those guys are going to compete for it.
Sounds good. One thing, looking around, it looks like you got 4 or so new guys, 4 or 5 coming in. Obviously, that'll help guys. Hopefully, with the experience and the depth that you have already, they can redshirt, get a little stronger, a little bigger. You got Colby Horn, Joe Clark, Demarius Gibson-Wells, David Robinson, and Tariq Denning. So you got some young guys to work with too.
Good freshman group. Definitely has some talent as well. Of course, they'll have a learning curve in being able to adjust to the college game. It's very helpful to have a veteran group to be able to ahead of you, that at least can be able to tell you some of the ins and outs of what it is and just to be in a university, right? It's not about just football. Gotta go to class, and you got this coach yelling at you. It's all this type of thing. And the physical components, the offensive line are bigger, the faster, the stronger. So having some guys that can be able to sometimes pat on the back and say, "Hey, you're okay," right? I remember when I was going in a freshman, you think you're the man coming out of high school, and next thing you know, in college, and everyone else is just as big, as fast, and strong.
Right.
You have some long days. So, but those kids are going to have some opportunities to be able to show what they got, because everyone's going to get a shot, nonetheless. Freshman or not, senior, whatever you are, you're going to get a shot to be able to show what you can do. Now, if they can push and get on the field, that's on them. That would be great.
Yeah.
I think it would be a tough task, but let's see what happens.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again for watching this edition of Get to Know Your Wayne State football program.